All right, so y'all have been asking, and we are doing it this season of Love is Blind. This is episode 6 and 7. Listen, Netflix, y'all got to stop putting it out like 15 episodes in one batch. That don't work.
Do 2.
Right. Put out 9 episodes and then expect us to just be able to comment on it all at one time. All right, but this is episode 6 and 7 of Love is Blind. My name's Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is Conversations with the Crawleys, and we do these conversations about faith, family, relationships, and recaps, reviews, and commentaries on our favorite shows and shows that we're trying to catch up on. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications,
and share.
And we will see you in the comments. Consider becoming a member and checking out the merch store. There's some stuff there for the holidays coming up. All right. So the couples are leaving their vacation as couples still. Matt and Colleen, I don't know if y'all remember, they had that big blowout. Mm-hmm. That big, I'm done. I'm through with you.
If you're going to be my woman, you're going to be my woman.
Now, there was some red flags in my opinion, just in how Matt handled that conversation.
Yeah, he was kind of scary.
It was a little scary, a little controlling.
A little controlling.
So we'll see. But it was just, I was like, bro, you tipping on that line. Let us know what you think, because I was a little concerned. It seemed a little more than what should have been, especially at that stage. Now, we also know he's got the trauma because he did have his first wife cheat on him. So I understand your scenes and get pregnant by somebody else, right?
That makes
so I get that there's the fear of that reoccurring, but there was just some things I was like, nah, bro, pull that back. So they do get their phones back. They do kind of FaceTime whatever with their family.
Telling them, I'm mad. I'm getting married. I'm getting married.
Nancy's mom, is he Puerto Rican?
If you put white and black together, you're Puerto Rican.
Now, I don't know if y'all know this. This made me think of that. If you take Coke and Sprite and mix it together, it tastes like ginger ale.
Oh, does it?
Yep. Working fast food years ago, you figured out a bunch of different combinations, and cherry root beer is actually pretty bomb. All right. Listen, this is what you get on this channel. You get some great commentary on relationships. You get music and movie trivia every now and then you get some drink tips. All right. What?
I just thought that was funny.
Yep. So they get home, Colin and Zanab. Mm-hmm. So at their place, he got his laundry basket. Oh, she gives him the laundry basket because he's unpacking. She's like, can you pick up your things? He's like, I'll get to it.
Okay, we were like, we're just... Because I see him going through it, right? Mm-hmm. And granted, he is putting on the floor, but he's trying to sort through his clothes so he can put in them laundry. And they're showing the scenes of her being a little mothering.
Because she has to be.
And he's like, okay, I'm an adult. Let me sort through my clothes.
Yes. But also she's looking at how he's been doing things while they've been on vacation. And there's a concern because he just kind of throws things all over the place. Mm-hmm. So she's also like, look, we're going to set up this new apartment with us. Let's not start off on the wrong foot. Use these things called laundry baskets. I know that you may not know what it is. You passed it in Target all the time. But it's a laundry basket. Your laundry goes in there. She does say that if she recommends and says if they don't see an I do, go your separate ways. Don't try and drag this out. Don't try and make something out of it that's not there. Mm-hmm. His family, he hears from his family. His family is not into it.
Yeah, so he has to tell her, like, look, I do have great parents, and because of their Christianity, they don't believe that this is the right way to go about this. We're living together, and now all of a sudden, after meeting you the way we met, now I'm saying I'm engaged to somebody, and they never got a chance to meet you and be in the process.
Right. I think that's the key thing for them, as far as what we're seeing.
Because I could imagine being a parent, granted, I already told my kids, don't call me telling me you're married. Don't do that. Mm-mm. because it's all about being in the experience and being there with you, right? And this is showing another growth in your life.
Yep.
And Cole has been married before.
True.
And it didn't work out well. So I think they're trying to find ways to protect him when they feel like maybe some things occurred in his past where they could help him navigate this situation.
Yeah. So they do go meet her stepbrother and his stepmom. And Cole makes an impression there, a good impression. There's nothing major there. They do talk about, she talks with her mom about Cole's parents not being on board. And just kind of navigating through that, seeing how that would be.
And the stepmom talks to Cole, saying, "Hey, I heard what you're currently going through, and kind of tell me a little bit about your parents." And I like her approach.
Yes.
Instead of just saying, "Well, your parents should be," she's more like, "No, explain to me why your parents wouldn't want you to go through this situation and why they don't want to participate this way." And he shares that, and then she shares, "Now Zanib, she's lost her mother and her father.
Right.
And we kind of adopted her, so I want you to think through her perspective of why she may be responding the way she responds, because in a sense, it's like a rejection and why they don't want me and different things." And Cole felt like he got more understanding of her as well. Yes. And the stepmom prayed, like, let's pray and everything. And here I'm seeing moments of Cole where he can very articulate what he's trying to say and communicate, and that he shows that he has that maturity.
Right.
I think there's just different areas where he's more relaxed and being this goofy person and different things like that. But I've seen in his conversations and how he's communicated well about how he's feeling about it. So.
Yeah. So then a little later they do go to his apartment.
Yeah.
And Zanab's like, "This has got boy written all over it."
Well, it got a single male. Bachelor.
She said boy. Those were her words. That wasn't Kevinese. That was Zanabi's. That was her words. She said it got boy written all over it. I wrote that down.
I couldn't live like that. So she's looking around trying to figure out where she can sit and not sit in anything. And, she's asking him about how he's feeling, about would he still be able to
move forward,
And he's like, after my parents, who... Again, he goes back into not expressing they want to be a part of this process or meet you and everything. He's like, it could have been even off camera. It doesn't have to, you don't have to be a part of the experiment.
Right.
And then he talks about, I don't understand, because if you're saying that you're a believer in Christ, but you're not sharing the love of Christ, but you're just being critical and judgmental, and then you're just sending me Bible verses. And again, he articulates very well how, he's like, yeah, they don't agree us living together before marriage, but I don't believe this is how Jesus will respond. Jesus would not respond that way. Now, does he like the act? No. But being near to say, hey, I'd rather be there and support you so I can talk to you. And through love, we can go through this situation and say, okay, you're going to know what the right way and not the right way to do things. So I loved how he expressed that, I think as parents, we don't like everything our children do.
At all.
But we come to them in love. We don't cut them off. We ask them, how did they come to these different things, and say, I love you as the person God created you to be.
Yep.
And in that, this is where we find things and why we have our mindset and why we do things certain ways.
Yep.
And then guess what? They have to make those decisions.
Yep.
And so it's interesting how they're navigating their faith along by what they're experiencing and trying to move forward. So he basically says, I need to make the decision as a man to
Figure out what we gonna do.
If I'm going to say yes, I'm going to be saying yes to you for having the wife.
Yes.
And they're going to just have to come along.
Yep.
Bible verse and all.
Yep. Brandon and Alexis.
Yeah, Brandon and Alexis.
Or is it Brennan?
It's Brennan.
Brennan and
it's
Alexis.
With the E.
Yes, Brennan and Alexis.
So he sees her place.
Yeah.
And he's scared. For other reasons.
Because this has kind of been underneath as far as the current, but she comes from money.
A lot of it.
He doesn't.
And you walk in her place, it looks like a Saks Fifth Avenue ad.
Yeah.
It's the blingy, shiny stuff. She already told him she only wears one outfit one time. She got that Mayweather money. My understanding, he only wear underwear one time. That brother throws everything away after he wear it.
Still can't read, but okay.
As long as he make money. And he got disposable stuff.
I don't know if you can read the numbers on the dollar bills.
It doesn't matter as long as they keep coming. So I would say that's a real conversation.
Yes.
Because she also explains to him, now baby.
She want to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah. On whose budget? On our budget? On my budget? Now you can stay home, but it ain't.
But we eating ramen every night.
You about to start re-wearing something.
You about to be re-wearing the same outfit.
So I'll be like, let me show you how much I make a year, and then you determine if that's going to work for you.
And which home you going to stay at and be a mom.
So.
And then she's like, oh, by the way, you signing a prenup too.
Right. So, bro, your love ain't gonna make up for them dollar bills. I'm so sorry. Cause she don't seem like the one personally that love is gonna carry y'all through all those times you working by yourself. Mm-mm. So he was like, did he say yeah? I can't remember. He's like,
he said he would sign a prenup.
Yeah, he said he would sign a prenup. He's like, I'm not here
with nothing. I'm leaving with nothing.
He's like, I leave with nothing. So, but I don't think, well, I guess we'll get to that. So then they meet her parents, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's some scary parents in this in so many ways. I feel like if they needed to, they could knock you over the head and you'll disappear.
Her father looked like he a hitman for the Mossad, which is the Israeli Secret Service spy agency or whatever. Oh my God. He looked like sounds scary. Yeah. He looked like he go out on weekends and be going into countries with his sniper and just
So he gets there and they're looking at him. They're like 5 men deep, her brothers. And so they're talking to him and he's saying, yes, sir, no, ma'am. And they're like, why are we saying this? And then he was like, my understanding, my daughter says that you're willing to convert to Judaism. But yet they don't really claim. They claim being Israeli, but not.
Right. So he's like, Jews. We're Israeli, but we're not necessarily following the religion. Mm-hmm. Right, the Judaism. Mm-hmm. So,
but they asked him, he said yes, he was willing to do that.
So the father's like, all right, you ready? Just go ahead and, because part of that is being circumcised.
Well, because he taught, well, hold on, before we get there.
Go ahead.
He talks to like, my daughter is used to living a certain way. You see this house? She lived like this from her birth until we furnished her other place. So every place needs to look like this place. So you better not be slacking. Because he tells him he's an engineer. So he probably makes, maybe 75.
He makes some money, depending on where he is in his career.
Right, depending on where he
and
is.
What type of engineer
he is. But he's like, you're going to have to step up. I need you to own that company. I need you to start your own engineering company. Because you're going to have to make money. Because she came from money. And you have to take care of her. And if I feel like you're not,
I'm going to call you on it.
I'm going to call you on it. Mm-hmm. He's like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Then he says, I was like, this boy have to be circumcised, but he's just making a point. He pulls out all the different ways they could circumcise him. He pulled out a big behind knife. I'm like, where you get this knife from?
I'm telling you, that's why he
It's like a hunting knife.
Telling you, you work for the Mossad. I'm telling you.
And he laughing nervously laughing. And
Pulling
like,
out his toolkit, basically.
I was like, who does this?
Yeah.
I think he uses that on every man that comes in there for one of his girls.
It's the proverbial clean your shotgun while the guy's coming over to ask your daughter out for a date.
So
that kind of thing.
But her dad feels that, he's a good young man.
Right.
He has
he's
a
like,
good heart.
the way his daughter talks about him is different.
It is
so he's
different.
like, I have to honor that. I have to respect that.
I have to respect that.
And trust that she knows what she's doing in this. But if you mess up,
and we don't see enough dollar signs,
you might find yourself somewhere standing next to yourself. Yeah. All right. So that's them. SK and Raven.
yes.
She says they are trying to hold out on sex until after the marriage, until after they actually get married.
And she said, but we might mess up. I was like, then why are you holding out? If you're going to mess up, you got 4 weeks.
But then later that day,
Next day or something.
yeah, he's like, yeah, we was up kind of late. The neighbors was hearing my name being called, and yeah.
But I'm a gentleman.
Was that Trey Songz? The neighbors know my name,
Right.
but I ain't gonna say nothing. But the neighbors know my name. But she was also like, now what's up with these late night calls from Nigeria?
Right. So I was like, what? He's like, well, my family don't think about when they're calling that we're in a different
Time zone.
Obviously.
Completely different continent, completely different time zone.
Exactly. So they just tend to call when they feel like they want to talk to me. Mm-hmm. And she's like, we're going to have to make sure they have an international clock.
Yeah. So his mom and brother come to visit.
Yes.
And they make some Nigerian food.
Mm-hmm.
Look pretty good.
It looked good. I would love to try.
But the mother asks, why did she choose SK?
Now I want to get the part where she's like, we use our fingers to eat this.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, do you chew it? Or it seemed like I just swallow this. She's like, I'd rather use a fork. I'm going to use a fork. And she goes, it's good. I don't know if she really liked it or not.
Yeah.
But it was spicy. Mm-hmm. So, she seemed open to learning. Yeah. So we'll see it.
Jollof rice is good.
Oh, you had the rice before?
I've had the rice before.
Oh, cool.
But she does say that she chose SK because they laughed, they shared vision, they shared goals. A lot of things were on point for them. For her also, her parents are not coming to the wedding. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they are trying to mix the culture for the wedding. So they're taking stock of his Nigerian background and then her background as well.
And she wants to know, will she be accepted in Nigerian culture? And she's like, yeah, our community would just embrace you and love on you. She's like, we have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
But the mom's concern was that her parents won't be there because, again, their culture is about family and getting to know the parents, because that does tell a lot about, your daughter in love or son in love is going to be like. So that was her main concern.
So then also he takes her to his apartment, and she sees how he lives. Wasn't bad.
No
issues. It was clean.
Yeah, because he's like, she call it a nerd,
right?
So,
and she says that initially she would keep her own apartment, and we find out a little later actually, because part of it is because when he goes to meet her friends, we find out that he is just basically been accepted for a 2 years master's program. So he's going to be moving, or basically commuting to California, I think it is.
Yeah. Back
and forth. So it would make sense that she kind of keeps her place. But, well, if they're going to commute, because she has her business there in I think they're in Dallas.
Now, is she an instructor or does she own the business?
The way that her friends put it was that she owns a business where she has clientele.
Gotcha.
So she has people that she's built her business with.
Gotcha.
Whether it's in an actual place or she owns a place, what have you. So it's kind of like, then, bro, why did you come on Love is Blind? Yeah. If that was going to potentially be the case, right? Because
he says that he talked to her in the pod, that he already knew that he was moving, and that he was gonna. It was 100% funded by a scholarship.
Yeah.
And that he was going to need to be there for school. So I don't know when he find out, but I would have like, you know what, I would have backed out until I could finish my schooling, because you're asking to become a husband and you want someone to either move with you,
right?
You know, depending on what they do, and change their life very drastically, very quickly.
Right, because it's one thing to get married. Love is blind, right? But then also, if you're thinking through what could potentially happen, that you're getting married, love is blind, and now moving, that's a lot of changes and shifts to ask of anyone. So I fault SK for
making the decision
this
to be on
even a thing by being on the show with it.
Yeah, but then he wanted her to compromise, because she was like, we're going to be sharing this lease together. And I don't know. I mean, like, if he's not going to be making money because the way he has to work, have to do his studies.
Right.
Because he said, I saved enough money to be able to live while I'm pursuing this. But I'm drastically changing my income to fit into this schedule.
Right.
So here it comes back around circle. Like, do you really want to put someone in a position where they can't keep a certain lifestyle?
Right.
Because of your choices on education.
Right.
Because you're doing this, you're making those decisions without somebody, and then just want somebody to fit in there
and be okay with it.
Yeah.
So with her friends, they are concerned about the Nigerian culture just because they've heard things.
Sure.
But every person, even with, because yes, even SK mentioned before in another episode as far as the polygamy.
So that his father practices.
Right. So, but he's basically allays their concerns and fears concerning that. She is concerned because most of her family is white and conservative. She grew up she's biracial, but most of her family that she'll be introducing him to is white and conservative, and so wondering how that will go. The friends kind of question him, how are you going to be? How is going to work with her? After they're finished grilling him, they are both like, they don't necessarily think that it's a good fit for Raven. They think that he's going to get his heart broken as opposed to him breaking her heart. They're like, we know our friend. She collect hearts and throw them away. So,
I can see it.
It's possible. And then Bartise and Nancy. So she says she is messy as far as just how living. But then she takes him to one of her projects, one of her rental properties.
Now, Nancy's a boss lady. Nancy be flipping these houses. I was like, Nancy, I'm about to buy this house you about to renovate, because she has some Airbnbs. And she's renovating this one as well. Hey, Cash. And getting this set up. And she's explaining this to Bartise, but she has to also explain that a boyfriend was, her ex-boyfriend was in the deal with
he's
her.
He's a business partner.
And now that they're not together anymore, this is the last property they have together.
Right.
And he's asking questions like, whose name is on, the mortgage? Do you trust him enough?
Right.
Is he going to change his mind? Which are good questions if you're coming into possible additional debt you weren't expecting.
He's also saying, though, that he feels that the ex is more involved than Nancy originally told him. The way that evidently Nancy kind of positioned it was that he's
the realtor.
Right, he's just the realtor. No, he's got skin in the game too. So there's money being shared between the two of them, right? So definitely he needs to find that out and ask those questions. But he's also like, wait, if we can get this from this house, if we can get this from that house,
he's an accountant. I think he could count.
He like, oh yeah, go ahead, let's make this happen. Because he like, if she balling like that, I'll marry you all over again, even though we ain't married yet.
Well, because that's her goal. She wants to be financially set for their family, and she is a speech pathologist. But she wants to do that as a passion and not be concerned about money. So, which I think is all great ideas. Yeah. And then they go meet her dad
and brothers.
Man, them brothers.
Them brothers was like, why are you here? What do you want?
And you, without seeing my sister, you decide that you want to be with her? Come on out to the back. Let's go sit on the back porch here. BARTISE, we don't know you, man.
That all sounds good, but
sounds good.
That's our sister.
Okay.
We related to her.
And
as far as anybody knows, you ain't been here yet.
Right.
You can hide your body and nobody will ever know.
And he's like, one of them was looking at him cross-eyed. Sideways and cross-eyed.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if I believe you. I don't believe you, I say. I don't believe you. I don't know how you coming off.
We'll see.
But I have friends. And we will find you if you break my sister's heart. I know that to be a fact.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, we gonna be boys.
Right.
We gonna be cool.
Because he went out there like, hey, da 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 da, and they were like, no, sit down.
Yeah, not yet. You ain't getting no homie vibes from me yet.
No, not at all.
I need to know. And he's like, well, I understand. I would be the same way if it was my sister, that you want to make sure, you're protecting her. He said, I get it. So hopefully, BARTISE stay on good terms, or he might have to change his name and move.
Yes.
But
then they go meet her mom.
Then they go meet the mom. To me, the mom was even scarier. Because she says, I'm a bail bondsman. And I read people for a living because they got to give me my money. I need to make sure they ain't going to run. Are you a runner? Because I know how to find you when I need to find you.
Skip trace your behind all the way across this country if I need to.
So I could read a liar a minute away.
Yep.
So why are you interested in my daughter again? Say it slow. I'm reading your lips. And she was like, we love her. We don't believe in debt. She was like, we don't believe in debt. We take care of our business and our money. And don't mess this up, young man.
Yep.
I was like, dang.
So then they're back in their apartment and they start to have conversation about kids. And they both want kids, but she asked the question, basically Nancy asked the question, if we found out that the child was going to have severe birth defects or not be viable, would you be, what's his thoughts on abortion? He's like, I'm fine with it the first time, but you're not going to keep having abortions.
Well, because that's when she was mentioning rape or incest.
Right.
Or, when someone has sex without protection.
Right.
Because she's like, when would abortion be an option? Well, if they messed up, they had intercourse and wasn't protected.
Wasn't ready for it or whatever.
But after that, he's trying to say you should have learned how to protect yourself and not do it again. And, then they talking about Plan B and different stuff like that. And he said, well, I've used that before, so I understand that. And she's coming from a place of seeing parents that have children that have a disability. And I hear her. I've met parents, and we've experienced on that our own level of dealing with a child that has, some disability or challenges. Right. And it can be hard. It can be challenging. And she's seeing people when it could be at their emotional worst.
Or we're talking the other extreme where it's very tough.
It's very tough. But at the end of the day, that's the love also that she's missing out. Right. I think she's not talking to the parents in a point of, maybe they did have the option to do that, why they didn't. Right. And how they learn how to love. Because a lot of kids with Down syndrome grow up to be perfect adults as far as being able to work, take care of themselves, and get married. So I'm thinking from the extreme of all the pain and hurt of it. when there's also a lot of love and accomplishment.
There's a balance, and there's in some respects there's unknowns with it, right?
Oh yeah, there's definitely, because you don't know, and I'm glad she had a conversation, because I wouldn't even thought of having this type of conversation, because you would want the best,
right?
Even though she is older, trying to have kids, and that's why it's
even relevant.
It could occur, because when you get older, those chances are higher,
right?
And so, her asking and being upfront with them, and having to be able to have the conversation. It sounds like they both need to have more education.
True.
Concerning both factors.
Now, his sister, mother, and father show up. Now, remind us, because I think that the parents are going through a divorce, but they both showed up, so it looks like it may be at least cordial.
Yeah, I don't.
But they're talking, what have you. She brings up that Nancy brings up that she wasn't Bartise's number one choice physically, and the sister's like, "Oh no, you're beautiful. Don't even worry about that. What have you?" But then in the conversation, Bartise does bring up the abortion conversation, and that of course the parents kind of push back on that or give their opinion, which mirrors Bartise's opinion, right?
Correct.
I don't know how I feel about him bringing that up, because at least what we saw, the conversation was very fresh with him and Nancy. I don't know how I feel about him bringing that conversation up to his parents.
Well, I think he's trying to find things to see how his parents would respond to her. Because at the end of the day, if they announce they're pregnant, and then all of a sudden 3 or 4 months later they're not pregnant, I think maybe he's trying to prepare them too, if they're going to have to make that decision.
Well,
I'm just trying to figure out why he felt it necessary.
I hear that, but the thing is that you want them to get to know her, not necessarily the thing that you identify as an issue or a difference of opinion between the two of you.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
And there's a way to present that. If you're wanting their input, there's a way to present it so that it doesn't become Nancy believes this.
Right.
What do you all feel about it?
And she wants me to do this.
Right.
That's true.
So, but afterwards, we find out that his sister wasn't necessarily feeling Nancy, wasn't necessarily approving of Nancy, which caused his entire energy to shift towards Nancy, where, she's noticing that he hasn't hugged, done any display of affection towards her all day. She asks for a hug, and he's like, "Oh, you needy." So now is it that he's going to live in his unattracted or not being attracted to her?
I think it goes back to setting something up. This is where I'm like a self-sabotage, right? You bring what's an issue to you, to your family, causing them now to have an issue, because like you said, they're not getting to know her for her,
right? But
now you put up what her theology or ideology is about a certain thing, and now it becomes your sister issue,
right?
And your issue,
right?
Because he was like, "Well, I don't know if I could be with someone who my sister don't like." Well, your sister not marrying Nancy, you are, and this could grow in time when she could like her,
right? Because
just because you meet someone not feeling like, "Oh, I'm not feeling her," then
I'm glad
3 months later she could be like, "Oh my God, we're best friends."
I'm glad my brother liked you, but that wasn't the deciding factor for me.
Right. And it's not like me and your brother had a long conversation before he met me, before getting married. We were already engaged.
Right. I'm sure your sister, the fact me and your sister cool is cool. But
yeah,
that wasn't the deciding factor.
No, nor did she even say something. Nor did I even ask her. It wasn't like, I'm just being honest. I didn't ask any of my family for their opinion about marrying you.
Yeah.
This is who I'm marrying.
End of story.
That's going to be my husband.
Deal with it.
Because that's how we roll.
Exactly. You don't like it? Oh, well, sorry. You can be at the wedding. You're going to get the invitation. If you don't show up, that's on you.
Listen.
So. All right.
Sorry, that's how you It's just how family dynamics.
Sometimes real life will blend into these conversations.
Exactly.
So yeah, she's noticed the shift. A little more on them in just a moment. And then Matt and Colleen, who maybe I missed it, but that entire episode 6, I don't think Matt and Colleen were in there except at the very beginning where they at least said they worked things out. Now they do go where with his family, the mom is just like, I don't want him to be hurt. I don't want either of you to be blindsided as far as things happening.
Right. Are you sure you love him?
You here for the show, or you here really love him?
Right. So make up your mind. Do you just want to be engaged and say you married? Or do you really want to marry him?
Yes.
So she says she's there for him. That's what she keeps saying.
However, when we get to all the couples hanging out, Zanab recaps to the ladies Cole's attraction to Colleen. And Colleen says, well, I just told him, whatever. She basically played it like there was nothing major that she said. Matt shows up, and Zanab's like, Matt, let me talk to you. Matt gives a fuller detail of what Colleen said, where Colleen was like, it's the real world, whatever happens, happens. Which is very different from, I appreciate you're interested, but this ain't it.
Right.
So now Zanab is re-triggered because the girl just basically in her face said one thing, and Matt's like, nah, there was a whole lot. Matt was like, if that was all it was, we wouldn't be having a conversation. But because it was these things that was said, that's where the issue comes from.
But I would think, because I got to give Cole this.
Who's going to get Cole?
He got no filter. So he's been honest.
Yes.
So.
Well, is it filter or maturity?
I'm going to say filter because I'm giving him, when he talks to other adults outside of his relationship, he can communicate very well. And he understands enough to be able to communicate how he's feeling.
Okay.
And how things are affecting him. When you're immature, I don't feel like you could do that. Okay. And you don't present yourself well to others. Okay. In his relationship, he can feel like he can freely be himself. And that's that quirky personality all over the place. Because I feel like he has some type of anxiety or something that he just gets. So I think he's really honest to her from the very beginning. And it's hurtful honesty, to be honest, right? And I would have to go with that. Okay. Because, again, she's hearing through Matt. And Matt's already intense about
the whole situation,
how Colleen handled it.
Right.
Now, granted, I would expect her to play it down. Because if I bring something to you in your face, you ain't going to tell me your man was, well, I already know that, right? Because Cole already said what he said. And what she should have done was pulled her over to the side, says, I know in front of everybody you're playing off, but Cole told me everything. Yeah. And he says that he's still interested in me, and I'm good with that. But then you just let her know. You stay where you need to stay.
Yeah. So other participants from the pods show up, including Andrew, who seems to have lost his ability to cry for a moment.
I don't know why.
Well, he shows up because, granted, this is the third season of Love is Blind. I've only seen this season and the last season. And last season they did something similar where they had the Shane show up with Shayna or whatever her name was.
That's true.
So it seems as if they will sometimes, if there's an almost, they'll make sure that they show up to see if they can maybe snag them away. Yeah. So he does pull Nancy aside and asks if she thought about him. She's like, yeah, I did. But I'm good where I'm at. Even though he ain't attracted to me. They have a good conversation. She kind of is just like, she reiterates. So she's not, even with what she's going through with Bartise, she still recognizes that wasn't a good fit for her.
No, because he lives on Fantasy Island, where he's the hero in everything. He has no depth. I'm like, I don't know anything about you as a person. Yeah. I know about all the things you've accomplished.
Yes.
But you're not telling me anything about yourself. How am I supposed to have a kid with you? You be off in some jungle somewhere calling me remote, FaceTiming me and your child? Oh, heck no. Not happening.
So that's pretty much it for these 2 episodes. We are going to be watching the other episodes and getting more of them. I think we got episode, 8, 9, and 10 that we're going to try and get out. So definitely make sure you are subscribed and looking at those notifications. Notifications, because when we drop them, you want to watch them.
You want to drop them. You want to watch them.
All right. That's it for this time. We'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.
Bye.